From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
U.S. and Japanese officials plan their first meeting on trade. The United States ships its first soybean shipment to China in weeks. In analysis, wheat market wins. Are prices poised to climb higher? An alarming number of dairies are calling it quits in Wisconsin. And food allergies in the classroom and cafeteria.
AgDay, presented by the Chevy Silverado. High-strength steel for high-strength dependability.
Good morning, I'm Betsy Gibbon in for Clinton Griffiths. U.S. officials are set to meet with their Japanese counterparts in Washington, D.C. later in the week in what's called a first round of fair, free, and reciprocal trade talks. According to Politico, President Trump and U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer are concerned about the size of the trade deficit with Japan, which totaled $68.8 billion last year. Currently, the United States does not have a trade deal in place with Japan, something ag groups have been pushing for years.
But you have to understand, come next year, the Europeans have a deal with Japan. Canada and Australia have a deal with Japan. And all of a sudden, next year, these tariffs for those countries versus the United States are going to begin to go like this. And that's a problem.
This meeting is occurring when trade tensions are high, especially with China. Chinese officials saying they will act and impose tariffs on another $60 billion of U.S. products if Washington moves ahead with more trade threats. If this move occurs, it may target more than 5,200 U.S. products.
Two things we got going for us is an election's coming up. The general election's going to be in November, and harvest is right around the corner. So hopefully that'll prod things along. We just got to get the word to D.C., to the congressmen and representatives that our prices are 20% less than what they normally should be. So every little bit's going to help us. Let's get back to fair trade.
Despite the 25% tariff imposed on U.S. soybeans bound for China, there are still some bean buyers in the Asian nation. According to Bloomberg News, a ship with U.S. soybeans set sail for China last week. The ship departed Gavilon Group's export terminal along the Columbia River about 40 miles north of Portland, Oregon. Bloomberg says the cargo is headed to Shanghai. It's the first cargo of American soybeans headed for China in 3 weeks. It's the fourth soybean shipment departing from the U.S. since mid-June, but according to Bloomberg, only one has actually delivered the cargo. Despite that purchase, Chinese journalists reporting China is likely to cut imports of soybeans by more than 10 million tons thanks to new soybean technology. According to state media Economic Daily, the soy meal technology and use of supplements such as sunflower seeds and palm seeds will produce a low-protein formula in animal feed, which could cut China's annual demand for soy meal by 5 to 7%, equal to 5 million tons of soybeans. All eyes are watching the markets this week as two major USDA reports known to be market movers are set to be released on Friday. The department is going to unveil the World Ag Supply and Demand Report and its crop production report. The crop production report will give farmers the first production and yield estimates of the year based on objective yield data, looking at plant populations for corn and pods per 18 square feet for beans in their equation, more than just trendline yield. The report also including the first acreage adjustment since June.
I think the average trade guess for corn is somewhere in the 175 to 180 range, and that'll tighten up as we get closer to the report. I think just a few weeks ago there was a camp of traders or funds, big banks that believed that the corn yield was going to be north of 180. There may still be some of those traders out there, but I think that optimism in regard to yields for both corn and soybeans may have been reduced just slightly here as of late. In the soybeans, I think that 50 bushel per acre number seems to be about the middle ground here. We've seen some estimates come in below that, some estimates above that. So I think that's going to be pretty close to trade expectations.
Informa Economics releasing its forecast before report day. It's projecting a rise to the U.S. soybean yield to 50 bushels per acre and corn yields unchanged at 176 bushels per acre. Informa predicting U.S. corn production at 14.39 billion bushels and soybeans at 4.4 billion bushels, with all wheat production at 1.8 billion bushels, down from its month-ago estimate. USDA releasing its latest crop progress report showing the national corn and soybean condition rating overall has dropped, but not by much. 71% of the U.S. corn crop is rated good to excellent among the top 18 producing states. That's 1% worse than last week. Looking at corn, 81% of the Illinois corn crop is rated good to excellent. For Iowa, that's 75%. For Missouri, 44% is rated poor to very poor. 67% of the overall soybean crop is rated good to excellent across the top producing states, 3 ticks lower than a week ago. In Illinois, 75% of the crop is rated good to excellent. 74% of Iowa's bean crop is considered in the good to excellent category as well.
I think our corn is still pretty good. We did lose a few low areas due to extreme flooding. But the high ground's very good. It's possible that we still have a lot of 200 bushel corn. Our beans kind of suffered a little bit more from the flooding.
Mike Hoffman is in this morning and has a look at crop comments. Mike?
Good morning, Betsy. Clinton sharing some photos from Quay County, New Mexico, where his family ranches. His family told him they're watering hard and hoping to get some grass growing before winter sets in. This area in eastern New Mexico is seeing only about 7 inches of rainfall for the year. And in Lindcrest Farms in Leavenworth County, Kansas, they're chopping silage, and the family says this is the earliest they've ever cut the crop. They don't think it's going to be a high-energy feed source this year for their dairy herd. Had it been harvested for grain, it might have gotten 20 bushels an acre. That part of Kansas has been in extreme drought. Now, taking a look at the wind speed forecast, you can see as we head through the day today, it'll become a little bit windy along a frontal system from the Ohio Valley back into the Central Plains, a little bit in South Texas as well. Heading into the day tomorrow, we won't start off too windy except for perhaps some thunderstorms in parts of Oklahoma and Texas, but then we do get a little windier in the Ohio Valley, lower Great Lakes, and parts of the Southwest. We'll have your forecast coming up, but first, here are some hometown temps.
Plan for the unexpected with weather forecast updates. Local forecasts are delivered right to your cell phone each morning, making planning a little bit easier. Just text Weather 6 to 31313 to get started.
Next in agribusiness, we'll get a check on wheat markets. In our dairy report, the alarming number of dairies that are calling it quits in Wisconsin. Also see what grad students are doing to make a variety of cheese more friendly for the on-the-go crowd. Later, the fears for kids with food allergies as they head back to class. Let's see how the markets close. For that, we'll head to the CME floor in Chicago.
Wheat has really been leading the day. It rallied today, up double digits, up over 15%. That searing heat around the globe, especially in Europe, has really have the market off to the races. So the European wheat markets are really surging an awful lot. I know there's been some extreme rain then coming in the Black Sea. That's not really good either, and that is making it very difficult. So Europe, southern Russia, even Australia are having trouble. That's all from the floor at the CME Group. Here in Chicago, I'm Virginia McGathey.
The wheat market is seeing a big rally over the last couple of weeks, even seeing double-digit gains during Monday's trading session. What's behind the action? Tyne Morgan has more in analysis.
Here now with Tommy Grisafi of Advanced Trading. Tommy, we recently had some wheat tours going on that showed maybe the spring wheat crop isn't as large as what some expected. And then we had some news of some possible weather troubles brewing in some other areas, especially in Australia. That's helping support prices. But do you think that this wheat rally can continue?
I think the wheat rally is also part of the you're not going to have all the grains go down. So you had soybeans go down so much, and I think it's a sidekick that one of the benefits of soybeans going down is the world needs more wheat and corn, and they're going to feed these animals. I think China's caught in a bad situation. When you look at all the countries in the world that produce wheat, and wheat's harvested almost every day of the year, there's pretty good problems everywhere. Australia, The Ukraine came out today and announced something. The Ukraine came out today and announced that they're going to stop exports of wheat. So where do you come to? You got to come to America, South America, Europe. Europe's having a short crop. So all of a sudden we went from having plenty of wheat in the world and low prices a few years ago to, guess what? 7 countries that grow wheat all had a pretty decent problem. Instant bull market.
But is this rally sustainable, or do you think this is more short-lived?
I'm not that smart, but I know it's profitable for my customers. So we're selling wheat, we're buying puts, we're making cash sales. We're selling a lot of wheat out for next year because when you have a North Dakota farmer who has the choice of planting Minneapolis wheat or soybeans with a $1.50 under basis, they're going to take the chance of planting spring wheat and 60 bushel wheat over 40 bushel beans. They both have a 6 in front of them in the cash market.
So do you think this impacts acreage next year?
Absolutely. Wheat's in play. The acreages are shifting daily. At least the thought of it is, right? So you could hedge wheat, hedge corn, and then all of a sudden you don't grow wheat and corn, you can take off your hedges and plant the beans. If beans are $3 higher next spring, it's going to be one of the wildest 9 months coming up that you've ever seen, both from a cash market standpoint, a basis, and also flat price decision making.
The wheat market, something to watch. Thank you so much, Tommy.
Thank you.
All right, stay with us. We'll have a check of weather coming up next on Ag Day.
Interested in spending a day with a trader? Call Tommy Grisafi at 800-664-4383. Your next piece of equipment is on MachineryPete.com. Search equipment from dealerships across the country to find what you're looking for. Only on MachineryPete.com.
Welcome back to Ag Day. I'm here now with meteorologist Mike Hoffman. Mike, we were talking a little bit earlier about the southern plains. Do you think there will finally be some relief for that area?
It is looking that way. Not only this system for parts of Oklahoma and Texas, but in the future, it looks like the overall weather pattern kind of becomes a little better for Oklahoma and Texas as far as rain goes. And this front and low pressure systems will be the start of that change in the weather pattern, but also has a decent chance of bringing some moisture to some of those dry areas in northern Missouri and surrounding places. So with that area of low pressure kind of moving off to the east, you can see by later today, there's going to be multiple little pieces of energy along this front causing showers and thunderstorms. And you can see our computer model shows a pretty good line by later today from central Illinois down into parts of Oklahoma. Hit and miss stuff along the Gulf Coast and also in the desert southwest. We have another cool front coming in behind, moving a lot quicker. It's going to catch up eventually to this first one and bring some cooler air for much of the northern plains into the Great Lakes as we head through this coming weekend. There's tomorrow morning still some showers and thunderstorms close to that area of low pressure for parts of the Great Lakes, and our computer model is showing some complexes of thunderstorms trying to get going along that frontal system in Oklahoma and northern Texas as we head through the day today, or tomorrow I should say, and that will increase those chances for showers and thunderstorms. Still hit and miss in the muggy stuff there, and then just some scattered activity, lesser activity along that secondary cold front through the northern and central plains. Precipitation estimate past 24 hours. You can see that strip from Nebraska, northern Kansas, all the way across southern Iowa into the lower Great Lakes. Adding in the next 36 hours, we're going to add some more. Now you'll notice our computer model still shows some areas in eastern Kansas, parts of Missouri not getting much rain at all. And of course, those are areas that are on the dry side, which is unfortunate. But maybe the computer model will be a little off on that one. But you can see some areas ending up with 2-3 inches of rain out of this system as it slowly comes southward with areas of low pressure kind of moving eastward along it. Still hot and humid in the south. A little bit more comfortable farther north behind that first cold front. Behind that second front, then, it will cool down even more. But tomorrow morning, we're looking at a lot of 60s. The northern plains, 70s for the eastern portions of the Corn Belt. High temperatures tomorrow afternoon, pretty much all 80s across the plain states until you get down into the southeast. There's the jet stream. You'll notice the trough digs in a little bit as we head through the end of this week, even a cutoff low kind of forming over the Great Lakes as we head into Sunday and Monday. Another trough digging into the northern plains as we head through the middle of next week. That's a look across the country. Now let's take a look at some local forecasts. We'll head to Farmington, New Mexico. First of all, lots of sunshine and hot, high of 98. Davenport, Iowa, partly sunny, shower or thunderstorm possible, high of 82. And Fayetteville, North Carolina, very warm and humid, thunderstorm in some spots, high around 92 degrees.
Next in our dairy report, the alarming number of dairies that are going out of business in the dairy state of Wisconsin. And it's back to school time. For parents with children who have allergies, it can be nerve-wracking. We have some tips on reducing those food fears.
Ag Day, brought to you by Top Third Ag Marketing. Farmer first with a plan for every market.
More than 4% of Wisconsin dairy operations have left the business so far in 2018. 382 dairy farms have called it quits this year in the state. 44 farms went out of business in July, 10 fewer farms than in June. According to the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection, there are currently roughly 8,400 dairy farms licensed in the state. At this time last year, 283 Wisconsin farms had exited the business. 465 dairy farms left the business by year end. Graduate students at Kansas State's Food Science Institute brought home top honors for their development of a quick quark. Quark is a soft cheese that's very popular in many European countries. The K-State students revamped the recipe, making it more palatable for U.S. taste buds. Their design makes quark drinkable and more convenient without sacrificing nutrition. The project is part of the National Dairy Council's new product competition.
Quick Quark has 14 grams of protein per 150 grams of serving. So in this one single pouch, we're almost doubling the amount of protein as you would see of the Greek yogurt drinks in the market. And it also is an excellent source of calcium. It provides one single serving of Quick Quark provides 30% of daily value of calcium.
The National Dairy Council says 50% of all eating is snack related, so it was important for the K-State researchers to make this food convenient but not lose nutritional benefits. They also wanted to broaden the appeal of quark, so they used infused real fruit flavors like blueberry and pina colada. The competition was open to college students in the U.S. and Canada. K-State's entry brought home first place bragging rights and an $8,000 prize. The latest jobs report for July showing unemployment rates are at 3.9%, a slight difference from 4%. Job growth in July was less robust than expected, with some in the labor force out of the workforce. The numbers suggest the economy is helping the labor market deal with trade policy tensions allowing the Fed to potentially raise rates in September. However, some ag organizations say there's a greater labor shortage across rural America in every sector.
There's not a domestic supply of workers sitting on the sideline to take care of these animals and create job growth and economic prosperity in rural America. So we have to have access to an adequate supply of workers in order to continue to feed the world.
The Fed did not raise rates during its last meeting. Back to school can be a stressful time, especially for children with food allergies. Coming up, a few simple tips that can go a long way in keeping kids safe and healthy at school.
In the Country, brought to you by Kubota's M7060, built to get the job done. See KubotaUSA.com or your local Kubota dealer for more information.
It's that time of year when families are busy preparing for the new school year, and that's especially important for children with food allergies. Since the late 1990s, food allergies in children have shot up about 50%. In this video provided by the National Jewish Health, Barbara Consiglio has some tips to keep your children safe.
When Jacob Ware had an allergic reaction in his kindergarten class, his teacher and school nurse acted quickly to save his life.
She administered the shot, and I met them at the hospital. So it was very scary, but the school handled it exactly as they should have.
Jacob's not alone. Nearly 6 million children have food allergies in the U.S., an average of about 2 per class. Dr. B.J. Lancer is an allergist at National Jewish Health in Denver and has 4 simple tips to keeping children safe at school. First, meet with administrators before the school year starts.
Meet with the teacher, meet with the food preparation staff and administration, the school nurse, whoever needs to be involved to help get everyone on board and on the same page and ready to start school.
Next, develop a written plan that outlines all the necessary information to prevent exposures, as well as how to recognize and treat symptoms.
Remember, Benadryl is our first line of defense.
You can also post a picture with allergy information in your child's classroom to alert anyone who enters the room.
It's easy to get confused and forget which foods each child might be allergic to, and so the more clear and the simpler you can make it for everyone at school is great.
Finally, pack safe snacks for your child in case someone brings an allergenic treat for the class.
I would just send him with like his own separate cupcake so that he doesn't feel excluded. You know, he can participate, but it's safe for him.
At National Jewish Health in Denver, this is Barb Consiglio reporting.
Experts say that while many schools now have a separate table for children with food allergies, it's still a good idea for parents to tour their kids' cafeteria. They also stress that food allergic children should always carry an EpiPen in case of emergencies. Well, that's all the time we have this morning. We're glad you tuned in. For all of us here at AgDay, I'm Betsy Gibbon. Have a great day.